You've seen the photo, even if you don't know the name. The last American soldier to step on the last plane out of Kabul, August 2021, rifle slung, walking up the ramp of that steep into the dark. That soldier is General Chris Donahue, West Point, former Delta Force commander and also commander of the 82nd Airborne, of the men most responsible for destruction of ISIS. By any measure, one of the finest combat leaders this country has produced in a generation. This week, they forced him out, cut his command down from 4 stars to 3, and showed him the door. And here's the part I need you to hear, because it's the whole point of today. The people screaming about it are not Democrats. They're not the media. They are Green Berets. They are active duty generals. They are conservatives. A retired special forces officer called it, quote, outrageous. A conservative radio host said the disgust with the defense secretary now reaches to the chiefs. When the warriors themselves are sounding the alarm about a war on warriors, a free people had better listen. Y'all, let's go, because this one, it is coming straight home, and we know it, and we are now, what are we going to do about it?
A Delta Force commander is kind of like if there was a janitor at a hospital, and that hospital got bought by some fat orange pedophile who decided it would be a good idea to make the janitor the director of the hospital. And then that janitor decided to start firing doctors because he knows better than the doctors. And then ultimately, that janitor decides to fire the leaf-cheed brain surgeon because he's not doing brain surgery right. That's kind of like what Pete Hegseth firing a Delta Force commander is.
All right, y'all. So that right there is straight from one of the retired Green Berets that we're talking about. And, you know, if that just doesn't say it better than I can, I don't know what would. But welcome to the Hillbilly Think Tank with Spencer Keck. I am the educated hillbilly, and no, that is not an oxymoron. Don't call me a moron. There have been educated, erudite, and emancipated hillbillies in Kentucky ever since my kith and kin came through the Cumberland Gap with Daniel Boone and the Long Hunters on their quest for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the only way we can have that, of course, is if you find it right here, because that's where they came to look for it. Now, I'm Spencer Keck, retired Navy doc, combat veteran, public school teacher currently, and also a candidate for magistrate on the Hardin County Fiscal Court District 3. And today we're talking about the something that should worry every American, no matter how you vote. We are talking about what it means when incompetency becomes the norm. This is the purge by the numbers. General Donahue is not a one-off. He's the lightest name on a long list. Since this administration took office, the Defense Secretary, Whiskey Pete Hegseth, has fired or forced out roughly 24 generals and senior commanders. 24. And look at who? General C.Q. Brown, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest ranking officer in the entire military. Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the first woman ever to lead the Navy and sit on the Joint Chiefs. Admiral Linda Fagan, the first woman to lead a branch of the armed forces. General Tim Hall, and now Donahue. By the Guardian's count, around 60% of those pushed out have been Black or women. Now think about what that means. These aren't slackers. You don't pin 4 stars on a slacker. These are, by definition, the most experienced, most decorated, most independent leaders in the force. The ones who spent 30, 40 years earning that rank in combat and command. And now they're being swept out the door faster than at any time since 1949. The last time we saw senior military leadership churned like this was the revolt of the admirals, and that was a fight over strategy. This is something else. So, the war on warriors and the loyalty test. Here is the irony, so rich you couldn't write it. The Defense Secretary, before he had his job, wrote a book. You know what it was called? The War on Warriors. He built a whole brand on the idea that he was going to protect the warfighter from the politicians and the bureaucrats. And now the men in uniform, the actual warriors, are telling reporters that he is the war on warriors, that his leadership is driving what one report called an unprecedented and dangerous exodus of talent. Look at what happened at Quantico last fall. He summoned hundreds of generals and admirals from all over the world, pulled them off their posts on about a week's notice to stand in a room and be lectured. And his message, in his own words, was, if what I'm saying makes your heart sink, you should resign. That's not leadership. That's a loyalty test. Stand up on camera and pledge the new line or get out. One Army general put it flat to Washington Times. And folks, the Washington Times is a conservative paper. If he ever had us, he lost us. And this is a man, I'll just say it plainly, whose own resume for the job was hosting a weekend cable show, and who got caught putting sensitive details of a live military operation into a signal group chat that accidentally included a journalist. That's the man now deciding that General Chris Donahue isn't fit to serve. A former TV host grading the warriors. And this is one of the mightiest of warriors to boot. Now, why? This should scare all of us. But here's the pattern that matters more than any one firing. And this is where I want to slow down because it's bigger than politics. The single greatest thing about the American military, the thing that separates us from every junta and every strongman regime in history, is that our military is apolitical. Every soldier, sailor, airman, marine, and guardsman swears an oath. And that oath is not to a president. It is not to a party. It is to the Constitution of the United States. That is the load-bearing wall of this whole republic. The most powerful military on earth, and it answers to the law, not to a man. Now ask yourself what a purge like this actually does to that wall. When you remove your 24 most senior, most independent commanders, and you make loyalty the test for who stays, you are not building a stronger military. You are building a more obedient one. And there's a difference. And the difference is everything. Remember the context. at that very same Quantico gathering, the president stood up and talked about using American cities as training grounds for the military and called for going after what he called a domestic enemy and an invasion from within. So put the two pieces together: an officer corps being purged and restaffed for loyalty, and a commander-in-chief musing out loud about turning that military inward on American streets. You do not have to be a Democrat or Republican to feel a chill run down your spine at that combination. You just have to love this country and understand how republics die. I've said it all series long. The deepest safeguard we have is people in uniform who will follow a lawful order and refuse an unlawful one. A loyalty purge is designed to remove exactly those people. That's the danger. Not that we lose good men like Donahue, though we do. The danger is why we're losing them. The line. This is the honest part. Now, let me be fair, because I always am. The administration has an argument, and you deserve to hear it. Hegseth says he's restoring merit and that he's ending diversity quotas, raising fitness and combat standards, bringing back what he calls the warrior ethos. His spokesman says promotion should be about warfighting, not so-called firsts. And they'll point out that military recruiting has actually gone up on his watch. And it's true that every president gets to pick his commanders. Reshuffling the brass is normal. All fair points, and I won't pretend otherwise. Here's my answer. I'm a combat veteran. I want a lethal, disciplined, high standards military as much as any man alive. That is not the argument. Reshuffling a few commanders is normal. Purging 24 of your best with loyalty tests and resign or else speeches, while the warriors themselves and conservative voices recoil, that is not normal, and calling it merit doesn't make it so. Especially not when the man judging the merit of a Delta Force commander as a former cable host with a security leak scandal. Real merit, real standards, and an apolitical officer corps that answers to the Constitution, that is the warrior ethos. Gutting it for loyalty is the thing that's actually a war on warriors. And y'all, let me just remind you, Delta Force is the most elite special forces group there is in the U.S. military. Now, my Navy SEALs brothers might disagree and try to tell me that DevGru is, but you can go back and forth about that. But let's just say Delta Force is the highest of elite. And Donahue was part of Delta Force. He was a commander. He also commanded 82nd Airborne. You don't get any more fit for duty than that. And he was also, as I said a second ago, the last man out of Afghanistan. It was him that ensured that all Americans got out safely, and he made sure he was the last one out after ensuring the safety of everyone else.
Americans and at-risk Afghans were unable to evacuate. However, this morning, they still remain committed to getting them out. He's the last U.S. soldier to leave, Major General Chris Donahue, shown in this photo moments before boarding the final cargo plane that would depart Afghanistan. Gunfire erupted in the streets of Kabul in celebration of the U.S. departure. After 20 years of war, the Taliban are back in full control of the country. The final American flight lifted off from Kabul airport just after midnight local time. In the closing hours of the evacuation, military aircraft had to shoot off flares to prevent potential rocket attacks.
More than 123,000 people have been safely flown out of Afghanistan. That includes about 6,000 American citizens.
But despite what's being called the largest airlift in U.S. history, the State Department says more than 100 Americans and likely thousands of Afghans were left behind. The Biden administration says it will hold the Taliban to its word that they will provide them safe passage out.
We did not get everybody out that we wanted to get out. But I think if we'd stayed another 10 days, Louis, we wouldn't have gotten everybody out that we wanted to get out.
The head of the U.S. Central Command, General Kenneth McKenzie, says it's the end of a bloody and costly war.
All right.
It's a mission that brought Osama bin Laden.
As you see, he was the last man out of Afghanistan. And that is no small feat. It is something that we all should be proud of, and we all should recognize that is true leadership. True leadership demands that nobody be left behind in a place like Afghanistan when it's ending. And that's what he did. He was the last man to get on the plane and to get out. That is qualified leadership. So regardless of how Whiskey Pete Hegseth wants to sell this to us, yeah, this is not him making sure he has a warrior ethos. He is killing a warrior ethos when he pushes out a combatant commander, Delta Force commander that is highly lethal, highly disciplined, and way more brave than this armchair warrior Hegseth. So, regardless of how many loyalty tests they want, they are pushing out the competent and keeping incompetence in place. So I don't want to hear any more about him being anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion. He's anti-competence. He only cares about the officers that will be yes men. And we cannot have that if our constitutional republic is to stand. All right, so let's bring it home to Hardin County, because this is where the rubber meets the road. So bring it home, because we, of all places, understand this here in Hardin County. We are Fort Knox's county. We don't just host the Army, we help make its leaders. This community knows down in its bones what the apolitical military tradition means, because we live next to it. The soldiers at Knox, they don't deserve a party. They don't serve a party. The soldier serves the Constitution and the country, and the soldier trusts that his chain of command does too. That trust is sacred and it is fragile, and once you trade it for personal loyalty, you do not get it back easily. So when I see them purging the Donahues of this world and of this military and installing loyalty where competence used to be, I don't see a Washington personnel story. I see somebody messing with a load-bearing wall in a county that knows exactly how much weight that wall holds. I'm running for magistrate. I can't confirm or fire a single general, but I can be a voice that says out loud and without apology, in this country, the military belongs to the Constitution, not to any one man. And the officer who has the integrity to refuse an unlawful order is not a problem to be purged. He's the whole point. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness rest on that. And I'll defend it from right here in District 3 every single day. And I hope that every one of you will defend it right along with me, because I can't think of anything else more worthy of defending than our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To me, that's what this is all about and always has been. So, y'all, you've been listening to Spencer Keck, the educated hillbilly. And this has been the Hillbilly Think Tank. Come to a fiscal court meeting. Bring your hardest question. Whether I earn your vote or not, I'll answer it. I'll see you there. Keep thinking deeply. And remember, in Kentucky, united we stand, divided we fall. It isn't just words on a flag. It is the glue that holds us together. Because if we love our neighbors as ourselves and recognize that, yes, we are our brothers and sisters' keeper, then we cannot be divided and we cannot fall. And that's what we are looking for. Y'all, we need to uphold this government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That is what keeps our democracy alive and well. So, y'all, hopefully you're having the end of a great weekend. Bless your corazon. I see we got copycats here. Copycat says competence is the acronym of the dead press on every syphilitic sycophant toady in the regime. I agree. I agree. They only want to, as men under the regime, 2 weeks to have people of honor there. That's right. The axiom that all politics are local politics is worth remembering. Local politicians start polls. State polls influence regional polls. And regional polls influence federal level polls. All right. I agree, Tom. Tom also says, sadly, the federal politicians haven't listened. No, they haven't. But we are looking at the beginning of the end of this craziness. We know that right now, the missiles are going back and forth from Iran to other countries, to other ships. We're firing missiles, they're firing missiles. It's getting hot again. We need real leaders who will stand up and make sure that this does not get out of hand. And purging these leaders at this time, this is one of the most dangerous things I've seen in a long, long time. All right, y'all. Hopefully, we'll come to our senses. Like I said, remember everyone deployed and bless your corazon. Hopefully you guys are staying safe from all the floods.
Standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Built upon the shoulders of the Constitution, rule of law, and the animating principle that we are all created equal. I need to hear a hallelujah, though I'm not considered a believer by some. I still believe in the warmth of heaven come. I need the rapture I feel when my feet touch the green, green grass of home. Then I know I have reached the valley of kingdom come. And when I reach that valley, I need to see you there. Because we don't need a kingdom, we only need free air. We don't seek a king, we seek the brotherhood of man. And we won't fight for bondage as we need no king or woman. We will stand undivided because we will raise the fallen. Now I need to hear a hallelujah as we tear down the wall line between heaven and earth. As tears turn to mirth, as we walk through the valley of death, and I draw my last breath. I know rapture I feel when I touch the green, green grass of home. That I know I've reached the hollow where my ancestors roam.
I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person. And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
Well, y'all, sure we don't like a dictator. That's not what we're looking for. Y'all have a good one.
Beans shipping cross country on refrigerated trucks. And thirdly, they take more hand cooked than modern bush beans. In the 50s and 60s, convenience became king, and TV did it. Soaking overnight, got laid old-fashioned means it actually works. Your great-grandfather didn't grow salad runners because they were trendy. He grew them because when the bank foreclosed on farms across the